Politico reports yesterday, President Trump's legislative director is acknowledging that the ongoing investigations into Russian interference in the 2016 election are overwhelming his legislative agenda.
So there it is. Completely justified story. That's what we've been saying.
Sorry about that.
That's what we've been saying.
So sorry. So sorry. There's no doubt that keeping members focused on investigations detracts from our legislative agenda, detracts from what we're trying to deliver to the American people, said Mark Short, Trump's director of legislative affairs, in briefing with reporters on Monday night. Now, look, he could be lying and just covering for their own tremendous incompetence. And let's not forget, this isn't just about the White House's incompetence. The Republican caucus in the House and the Senate is also largely dysfunctional in many respects. Largely. Not totally. The House still did pass one of the most horrendous assaults on American health care, I think, maybe that we've ever seen. I mean, it could be pretty unprecedented. And they could very well pass something in the Senate. If the investigations into this and the tangential investigations into obstruction of justice in any way inhibit the ability of the Republican Party to put millions of children in a situation where they don't have health care insurance, just access maybe to emergency rooms, 8 hours if you want to take the kid in because he's got a sore throat while you sit there and wait. If it in any way inhibits the destruction of our healthcare system, if in any way inhibits the ability of the Trump administration to cut food stamps, all for billions of dollars of cuts to the wealthiest Americans, to cut our governmental services, then I am for it. I am 100% for it. I do not have any great fears that we are going to invade Russia or attack Russia. Anything that slows down the legislative process, I am in favor of. According to this piece, Republicans now face the prospect of going into the 2018 midterms with little to show voters. Obamacare is still law of the land. Funding for a border wall with Mexico is bogged down in partisan fighting. I think Obamacare is still very much in jeopardy. Trump's budget proposal was dead on arrival. The White House is way behind schedule on sending executive branch nominees to the Senate for consideration. We'll talk about that in a moment. Today, Trump is set to meet with Mitch McConnell, Senate Majority Leader, and Paul Ryan, the Speaker of the House, to discuss what's going on in Congress. My hope is that Donald Trump spends the entire meeting reminding them that he won the Electoral College and talking about how he doesn't like Russia. Short also warned that Trump will play hardball with Democrats and Republican moderates on his spending priorities coming in the fall. There is, and we will talk about this as well, there's reason to believe we're going to have a government shutdown in September. The House Budget Committee is expected to unveil a budget plan in the next few weeks, although there are huge splits inside the GOP over those who want to boost Pentagon funding and spending hardliners who want to cut to government. That doesn't address what's going on with Democrats. In the Senate, they haven't had any appropriations meetings. They're way, way, way behind schedule. It gets worse for Trump when you talk about actually staffing the government. Here's some numbers in terms of how the Trump administration is doing. You'll recall that Obama had trouble sitting a lot of people. That was because of Republican obstruction. The numbers weren't anywhere near this. And the striking feature is not that they're being obstructed by Democrats. There are 559 key positions requiring Senate confirmation. There is no nominee for 441 of those positions. No nominee. We're in month 6 now of the Trump administration, and they have not come up with 441 names to staff key positions in the government. There are 15 who are awaiting nomination. In other words, Trump said, well, we're going to hire this guy, but they didn't formally nominate. There were 64 who were formally nominated and 39 confirmed. That's stunning. They had not been able to appoint, even to name anybody. It's unbelievable. The Trump administration's trying to blame the Office of Government Ethics, which vets these people. But they say we can't review reports until we receive them. Once we receive them, the OGE has been moving these reports faster than we did in the 2009 transition. So their turnaround time is shorter, but they're just not getting any reports. Thune, this is South Dakota Senator John Thune, speculated the administration may be intentionally slow in naming nominees because it does not want to fill those positions in the first place. More than 1,200 positions throughout the federal government must be confirmed by the Senate. 559 of those, like I say, are key administration positions. He's only named 117 of them. 39 confirmed, 64 formally nominated, 15 awaiting nomination. God knows how many of the ethics reports they've got in. This has been a total failure. And I will say this. I went back and forth with McKay Coppins and another guy on Twitter about this. You'll recall Steve Bannon, in addressing CPAC, I think it was in February, said their number one agenda with their cabinet appointees is the destruction of the administrative state. Mm-hmm. I would also argue that in not appointing these key positions, you are corroding and degrading the administrative state. And it's the easiest way to do it if you're completely incompetent. I mean, a really competent degradation and destruction of the administrative state would require you to find candidates who are both well-versed with how government works, but also particularly hostile towards it. Like a guy like Scott Pruitt, who is perfect if you want to destroy the EPA. But there's just not that many guys out there who are so obvious. And by guys, I mean gals too.
No, you might mean guys.
Well, probably guys in this administration. And so the next best thing you do is just let them sort of wither on the vine. You have people in these divisions who are completely frozen. They can't make their budgets. They don't know what personnel they're going to get. They don't know where the office is going strategically. I spoke to a buddy of mine very recently, former U.S. attorney, who says that the DOJ, U.S. attorneys, like white-collar crime, forget it. No resources going there. They're getting nothing. He incidentally also said that the guy who went with Mueller, this is a quote, a beast.
Yeah, really. Real beast.
But the point is that you have this situation where key positions in our government are not staffed. And here is the danger. On top of the atrophy that's going on in these agencies, I mean, on one hand, it's probably better than having someone who is actively hostile towards the existence of the agency in these positions because they're not necessarily alienating people. If you go back to the interview we did with Sam Bagenstos, He talks about being at the DOJ before and after the Bush administration and how it demoralized people there, and they specifically tried to get career people out. But here's the other problem. From time to time, we have disasters in this country. Sandy, Katrina, 9/11, some type of grid outage. We have people in these agencies, and these agencies function, and sometimes they function at a relatively low level of activity, but they are there and have institutional knowledge so that when there's a crisis, nobody's going around trying to figure out how shit works. They're just doing it. And we could be heading into, some type of really mass experiment where what happens if there is an Eastern Seaboard power outage that would otherwise last a couple of days or a day, but now may last longer? What happens if we need emergency services in, I don't know, in North Carolina because of a hurricane? I mean, the scenarios always come up, and we talk about them for a little bit, and then we stop talking about them because the government responds, and that's it. You can't necessarily take that for granted. So a real danger in addition to what it's doing to our government. I mean, as these services, you degrade these agencies, they provide less services, and you begin to make it much easier for Republicans to demonize government in the first place. Hey, Sam Seder here. Folks, you probably heard about the whole YouTube advertiser apocalypse. Well, we're suffering from it too. We need your help. If you want to keep this show alive, you want us to be able to still put out clips on a regular basis, head over to our Patreon page. Here's the link right here or down below there. And just give us a couple bucks a month and support this program. Really appreciate it.